So this is the fourth of the cameras that was sent in for repair. This is the Minolta, which is made by Hitachi, full-size VHS machine. This one's rattling, so I get a sneaking suspicion that this one may have been bounced and it may not be repairable, but let's take a look at it anyway. If you were keeping count, there was 4 cameras in that box. 2 Sonys that were beyond repair, one Sony CCD TR7, which I was able to get working, and then there's this Minolta full-size VHS. So let's see what the damage is on this one. So let's see if it'll turn on first of all. Power. Well, the power turns on, that's a good sign. I have no picture from the camera. It is in the camera mode. Just a blank screen. Does this thing have... Of course it has audio video outputs, but it's using a special cable, which I don't believe I have. A special cable. So I have no way of plugging this thing into a TV because I don't have the AV cords. This one had a character generator, flying erase head, and it had a high-speed shutter. Well, they all had that. But that kind of blows that I don't have a cable to connect this thing up to. Something's rattling in there. This may just be a teardown video on this thing. It'd be nice if I had that cable, because then I could certainly check it out and see whether it outputs a signal at all. Not having a cable means that I might be able to probe this and see whether we can get any signals out of it. Let's take this piece of crap apart anyway. This one may not go back together. I had a big dislike for companies that did that, you know, that put proprietary, full-size drum. Cool. Most had the mini drum. This one's got a full-size VHS drum in it. But I had a big dislike for companies that went with proprietary plugs. It's just one of these things that kind of pissed me off, because if you lost the cord, you had no way of operating it. The fuse in the back here. I don't think that's the problem. Proprietary plugs, that was a kind of a dirty trick that companies did, you know, to force you to buy their accessories, and you couldn't use anything other than what they supplied you with. I can think of another company that I just despise that pulls crap like that. A company that I don't own any of their products. I will never own their products. That company is Apple. I only own one Apple product, and that's not that I bought it, it was given to me forever ago. I don't even know how long I've had it. It's the old iPod Touch. And the first one, the first touchscreen before they had any phones. They had that first generation iPod Touch. It's got, I think it's got 32 gigs of built-in memory. I can't use it. I can still use it for playback. I actually have a speaker that I bought for it. And then they changed the plug for the next year. So the new one wouldn't work with. I got the speaker. It's a Sony speaker system. I got a good deal on the speaker system because they changed the plug the next year, and it was no longer compatible. So I got the speaker. It works. Problem is, I've got some stuff loaded on there, but I can't update it anymore. I can't load any software. I can't load any music on it because the version of iTunes that I had to use is no longer supported. It's no longer works. Try to load it on my PC and it says you must update to a newer version. And if I try to update to a newer version, it tells me that I've got the latest version that's compatible. So if I upgrade, I can't load files onto it anyway because it's no longer compatible. And I can't run any of the apps on it. I can't run any of the, I used to listen to the radio all the time. Had internet radio on it. I used to use it as an internet radio. That's what I used it for mostly. And I can't do that anymore because, of course, the piece is broken off this thing and falling out of it. I think this has probably dropped this unit. Yeah, none of the software works anymore. It's all out of date, and you can't update it. It says the device is too old. That's the game they play. So I don't like companies that do that tell you, okay, you've bought our product, you've had it for a couple of years, but now we don't want to support it anymore, so you have to buy another one. So there's another company I'll never buy products from, and that's Sonos. They do the same thing. They expire their older equipment, and they shut it down, or they won't let it take updates, and then all the newer stuff won't work. You can't update. And one of the things I was reading about Sonos was if you have a Sonos system, but you've got an old speaker connected to the network, well, they won't let you update the newer speakers unless you deactivate the old speaker. And of course, once you deactivate it, you can't activate it again. It's done for good. So it's like, yeah, same thing. I hate companies that do that. Sounds like there's things falling out of this thing. I bet you this camera was dropped. I just hear pieces rattling around inside. And the fact that I've got no picture in the viewfinder from the camera, I'm thinking maybe the board may be damaged on this. These were big boards that weren't very well protected. As you can see, if you drop it, if it landed on a corner, for example, it would transfer all the shock into this crappy piece of junk. Really terrible board. Not even a fiberglass board. It's one of the old generation, like a conventional circuit board. Where does this thing slide out here? That opens up like that. That tips down. It is Hitachi, by the way. It is the Hitachi symbol on here. What is falling out on this thing? I hear stuff rattling around in here, so I'm just curious as to what's going to fall out of it when I shake it. Belt on here. The belt's okay. Belt is not broken. The output cable is down here. Of course, the power connectors are on the side here. So I want to power this thing up. I can power it up with an external power supply. So we can just see which is positive, and the positive is the top one. Oh yeah, they're marked. So let me just put this thing on 12 volts, I think it is. I'm going to guess it's 12 volts. Oh, 9.6. Charger mode is 12. Adapter mode is 9.6. Let's just turn this thing up to 9.6. It's actually a plug on here. This is 9.6 as well. I see something in the viewfinder. It's not a picture. It's a bunch of jumble. I just find a tape. I'll try playing a tape on it. Works Products. This is not one of my videos. It's actually funny because I did a video for Works Products. They I should find mine. I should find my video that I did for them. And they had another company in Calgary do this one. And it was just atrocious. So then the company came to me and they said, here's what we paid money to have made. Can you do any better? And they gave me their tape to look at. And I looked at it and laughed all the way through. And I ended up redoing their video for them. I'm sure I've still got it kicking around here somewhere too. But let's just see whether this thing will play out anything through the viewfinder. Oh, it has a picture. The playback part is working. Interesting. It actually is working. Has a, you know, well, it did have a picture until it stopped. And it shuts down. Look at all the plastic in this thing. It's ridiculous. All these plastic gears. And it shuts down again. This thing's definitely got some type of big issues. This is getting very hot. This circuit here. What circuit is that? That looks to be the power supply. It is getting quite warm. Like it's unusually warm. not drawing much current. It's drawing 1.2 amps. 1.4 when it's running. It says its output's 2.7 amps, so it's probably running right within what it should. But it's stopping. And this circuit here is getting really hot. Like there's capacitors here that are getting so hot you can barely put your finger on it. This one, for example, this one right here. It's playing. It's not playing great, but it is playing. And when I put it into camera mode, there's no picture from the camera, so the camera itself is dead. And I don't know that I'm going to spend any time on this thing. Just because what it is. I don't have any service data on this unit. The problem with Hitachi is they use these big composite chips. I'll show you. I'll plug the camera here and show you. These are these things, right? They use these composite modules, and they weren't the greatest in the world. They were a source of constant problems. This is, I think, probably for color on this one. But this area is getting very hot. This chip here gets hot, and this whole area here is very hot. Even if it's been unplugged for a few minutes, this area here is very hot on this board. This capacitor and just this whole regulator here is pretty warm. So I don't know what's going on, whether something's drawing too much current. It plays for a couple minutes and then shuts down. I think the video output's probably back here. I'm inclined to not proceed on this thing, just because I don't know a hell of a lot about the old Minoltas. I never worked on them, and I don't have the AV cable, so it's probably a lost cause. The fact that this thing was rattling when I first got it is an indication that and pieces have fallen out of it, like pieces have broken off and fallen out. That's an indication that the unit's been dropped, and it could very well be a crack on the board here, or one of these boards. See, the camera's not working at all. Camera section's been broken in. Just the way that this is all loose like this, I think it's probably did a nosedive and landed on the lens. See how loose that is? And the lens itself is broken, because that should turn more than that, but it's not. And this is all loose. I get a suspicion that this thing was dropped. Just see if I can pop this out and see underneath here. Here's the camera section. Unplug the camera. Oh, that's unplugged. Well, maybe that's why it's not working. Let's push that plug back in. Okay, now let's just reconnect this thing and see whether I get a picture off of the camera. Okay, hook up power with the camera block detached and just see whether I get any video from the camera block. I still don't get any video. But it flashes like crazy when I tap it. this thing's got a broken board. I can pretty much guarantee it. As I flex on the board, the picture, or it's not really a picture, just the sync. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it's fluttering like crazy, like that. And if I push on the board, it'll clear up. I don't ever get video out of it, and it's still shutting down. I don't get any video out of it, but it certainly is when I press on the board. It's certainly making a difference. So I'm going to say this camera has been dropped. It's got a break somewhere on the board. In here somewhere there's a break, and I'm going to just walk away from it at this point. It's not worth fixing anything. It's nothing minor. It's certainly something major, and it's, you know, you can see where the lens is kind of broken here, right? See how it's loose? Could be this module. They were very prone to shock damage. Yeah, I bet you it's that IC. Yeah, it's shot. Yeah, something on here is broken. It's very likely that module. It's obsolete, no parts available. I'm not spending a minute more on this thing. This one is going off for recycling. I don't even know if I want to take the time to put it back together. Just say, I got them for free. It was sent in for me to do teardowns on. There's the teardown on this one. Okay, VCR. There's the VHS portion of it. It's a full-size VHS deck. And they basically just took a compact, or not even a compact, a full-size home deck and slapped the front end on it, slapped the camera on it. Full-size head drum. Might be worth salvaging that. Keep the head drum out of it. But other than that, this thing is toast. It's on its way to recycling. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.